I need to really understand automation and make it work for us.
I do. I just love American manufacturing.
I think that's the smartest thing in 30 years of selling machine tools and seeing so many different job shops.
You want to bring work back to this country. You want to do great things. Like, it has to be wrapped around automation.
Oh, he was trying yesterday.
I wasn't.
You got a quick one in.
Oh, they're holding hands.
Good thing about Keith is I can pretty much hurt anything, but his mouth will still work.
That's right. Can keep talking.
He's still functional.
He's like one of those cartoon characters.
Yeah,
he's like all casted up in the hospital, but then he's still like talking on the phone.
How many spindles do you need? How many spindles? How many tools?
What's up, Rick?
Not too much.
How are you?
Good.
Thanks for coming down to Texas, man.
Enjoying myself down at the Titan shop here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Man,
Heck yeah.
and we're surrounded by robots.
Yeah.
I know. Look at these things.
Crazy, right?
It is crazy. It's crazy.
Automation,
good.
baby.
It's the way to go.
It is.
Super good. So, Rick, you have a company or you just sold a company?
Just been out of it, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So how long did you have? So this company, what did you guys make? What kind of company?
Everything and anything. I mean, when
job
we
shop.
started out, definitely the job shop. It was in 1992.
Nice. That's when you started?
That's when it started. Just me. My brother Jamie came on 3 or 4 months later.
Beauty.
And we just somewhat slowly grew.
Nice.
To where, like in October 2nd of this year, I've divested myself fully. At that time, we were 3 different locations, and we had 225 employees at that point. Yeah.
And it's IMCO, right?
It's IMCO.
And that's what started IMCO, or
started IMCO in 92 from scratch. Yeah.
And what does IMCO stand for again?
It's East Iowa Machine Company.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah. Very cool.
It was good. It was a good run, and it just
time to
grew
go.
and grew. Yeah, it was,
that's awesome. Did you set out? Like, were you a machinist on the floor and you just had a vision that you want to start your own company, or why did you start?
I was a machinist in high school. I wouldn't say a machinist. I was the guy running the saw.
Yeah.
I had a small shop, but I was the only non-family employee of the company. It was like me and the 2 sons.
Holy
And the
smokes.
3rd son came later. And that company grew pretty well, too. I worked there 7-8 years, a couple different times, but... And from there, I moved. I worked in several different jobs. Worked at a John Deere. I was grinding crankshafts for tractors.
Nice.
And, I ended up at Rockwell Collins in the avionics division.
Big company.
Big company.
Heck yeah, it
up
is.
Up there, I think they had 14,000 in their conglomerate then, but they're huge now.
Yeah.
They're all over the
big company.
But senior fab ops guy was there. But I learned a lot. Prior to Rockwell, I actually was a manager of a shop that was part of a foundry. So I really learned a lot with the casting business and the raw material side, and we did a lot of work for the steel mills at the time. So it was even, you're really
solving
into
problems,
stuff.
working with customers.
Yep.
Making chips.
Making chips.
And a bunch of other stuff, it sounds like, too.
Probably the best thing that we did, whether I can say this or not, but one of the best things that happened to us, and back in 92, you're in Iowa, right?
Yeah.
And John Deere is like the golden ring to
of
grab
course.
For,
Yeah.
And at that time, John Deere was cutting their vendor base. And I really think that was, a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
Because we never got in, and so we just went a different way. And one thing that we did that really is quite a bit different. It isn't as different now, but we would do anything anyone asked us to do.
Sure.
So we grew in different operations, just from, we're plasma cutting, flame cutting, laser cutting, robotic welding. We're doing our own induction hardening in-house.
Wow.
We're doing all these different processes in-house that most people don't do. But you see it more and more now where people are doing the fab and machine.
Yep.
So, it's becoming more and more prevalent because you're so much more competitive when you're not shipping stuff back and forth.
I love all that, and I'd love to just kind of stay there for a second.
Yeah.
There was a company where we're from.
Yeah.
on the West Coast, Applied Materials.
Oh yeah,
Very similar
Yep.
to the John Deere story.
Very
where
much.
there's so many different companies were just like trying to get in with Applied. And when I was running other companies, we were doing a lot of Applied work, and I saw it. I saw like everybody's high, and they want to suck you up, and they just want all of your time, and they just take more and more and more, and then all of a sudden they go down, and everyone goes down, and the whole bay's like slow.
Yep.
And stuff. You probably had a lot of companies that you worked with, same thing, right?
It's it's so funny, right? When you said John Deere and that golden ring and what you're looking for and all it's exactly the same company that came to my mind was Applied Materials. I remember a guy, Lewis, at Tri Delta, one of the first shops I called on. This was back in '94, and I didn't know anything, and I went up to him and I said, "So what do who do you do work for? Do you do work for Applied?" And he says, "Oh, no, I'll never do work for Applied. They build you up and they break you down."
Right.
And in the Bay, working in the Silicon Valley, you would see guys that when you knew Applied was rolling, it'd be Ferraris and Porsches and everything in front of the offices. And then 18 months later, it'd be auction slips everywhere. It was crazy. It's
And
very
you see that
cyclical.
a lot of shops, make that mistake of putting all their eggs in one basket.
Yep.
And then before you know it, the eggs are broken.
Yeah.
And then they're one dimension.
That's right.
They're solving those problems, machining those parts, and they'll just the job we were talking about with Jim Bolin.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Same thing.
Contracts and millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. And it's one job. That they just fill you up with. And what I heard you talking about was all these different processes that you put in place. It wasn't just one dimensional. You were like multi-generate.
Multi different processes, but also multi different industries. We had,
Great.
So in the end, we had less than 20% in any given industry and or customer.
Yeah.
So we never had this huge monkey on our back of a customer and never in one given industry. So that, we used to be a little more cyclical, every 5-6 years or up and down.
Yep.
Depends on oil, depends on the price of corn, I mean,
a lot of factors.
Yeah, it is. Because oil affects price of corn, because of ethanol, and it's just, it's this whole roundabout deal. But
it's funny when you say that too. You're right. I think that's the smartest thing in 30 years of selling machine tools and seeing so many different job shops is, one, if you're more diversified, it's obviously multiple different industries. But number two, there isn't a shop that holds you captive, because again, let's say you've got 60%. Well, when you're 60% of one company, 60% is still a lot, not 100 or even 90, but 60%. That they keep giving you work, and what are you going to do? You're going to piss off all your other customers because you're so held by what they need from you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Makes it tough.
But it's that thing though, man. When you're a shop and somebody's giving you that work, and
hard
you're
to turn away.
You're nailing
it's
the work.
Easy.
And it's
it's just
money,
too
it's
easy.
just gravy.
Yeah.
And they're like, and you're making like all of this money, and they're like, we're going to give you more money and more money. It's like what happened with me. I knew that I had all my eggs in one basket, but then I was growing so fast. I was like, all right, once I get here, then I'm going to actually expand and go into all these different things. But I just didn't get there. The economy hit 08, 09, but I learned my lesson now.
Yeah.
Did you go through any periods where you learned that lesson, or you just set out and you just had a lot of customers?
We were always very diverse because, being more, in Iowa, there's not, Iowa's really growing in manufacturing, but there's lighting, there's a lot of ag, there's multi different industries.
Right.
I think manufacturing is actually the second largest GDP for the state behind ag, of course.
Wow, very cool.
And they really support it, so it's been very well. But I intentionally? I wish I could say I intentionally did this, but I think in 2008 or 2009 it really took a big hit. And we were getting affected even when the new diesel emissions law would go into effect, because we were doing some heavy truck, and then they tank.
Yep.
But before they tank, the new emissions going in on January 1 of whatever year.
Yeah.
The tier 4 or whatever it was, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, but tier 4 would come along, and then all of a sudden you're just going, balls to the walls, because, they're trying to get it, everyone's trying to get it by the end of the year.
That's right.
And then after the end of the year, it just nothing.
Stops.
Yeah, just stops.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is crazy.
Yeah.
But
So you start. So did you guys have when you started your company? Did you have like bays? Were you in a building? Did you start in a garage? Like, how did you start?
so we started really small. I think we rented 300 square feet from a guy, and it was great. You know, I went up and looked at it, and it wasn't much to look at. It was a building he built and then stored corn in it.
Oh my!
But it was like
gosh.
20,000 square feet, and he told me, "I'll rent your 500 square feet," and it was basically empty.
Wow.
You know, and as you grow, you can rent whatever you want it. So within, I think in 7 years, I think we outgrew the building and then built a 40-some thousand square foot, and and then at the one location where we moved from Dyersville, Iowa to Farley, Iowa, which is 5 miles up the road, and then we started at 40,000 square feet, and I think it was like 135,000 square feet.
So 40,000, and then you said you went up to
135,000.
Man.
So how like we have a lot of machine shop owners and people following us and watching this podcast.
Sure.
What allowed you to grow to having 200 something people? Like, what type of leadership did you stay? Were you the leader, or did you just hire other great leaders?
For me, I basically stayed the leader.
Yeah.
But I worked in the shop a lot.
Yeah.
Everyone,
Good stuff.
It is. I wasn't afraid to do anything. I could program and run
Huge.
everything in the shop.
Yep.
And they all knew it.
Yep.
So it was kind of made them a little nervous, so to speak.
Can't
but,
get one by on Rick.
well, they knew what. Yeah, they knew what to expect.
Yep.
And they weren't going to come in with some half-cocked story about why something wouldn't work.
Yep.
And that's the whole thing. They try, not all of them, but some people do. They'd rather not do it. It's going to be tough. We
Heck
don't
yeah.
want to do it. So.
Heck yeah.
But I imagine you're running night shift,
We were
different
on 3
shifts.
shifts at the end.
and you do have to trust other people to.
Yeah, oh, definitely. But we had a core group of guys that, worked with me from day one. We got a lot of guys with 30 years, 25 years in.
Nice.
So it worked out well.
That was some of the best shops, and that's just, again, going back to what you just said, the leadership is always key when you don't have a lot of turnover, right? When you see that a shop's a revolving door, you'll see guys going in and out of there all the time. Something's wrong at the top. It could be a good environment to work in terms of shop, in terms of machinery that they have. But if people are still coming and going, at least if you've held on to employees for 25, 30 years, you've done something right. Yeah. Good job.
Yeah, as a machinist, how many times have we had to take orders from somebody who had no idea what we did for a living?
100%.
And that's a problem.
Yeah, and as a machinist, it's hard to respect leadership that really doesn't know what you do for a living.
100%.
So you being out there on the floor, I guarantee you got a lot more respect than you would have otherwise.
And I say that all the time. It's like if you can't hold machinists accountable, like if you don't have the talent to actually run the machines and you don't understand how they actually work and you don't put that time in to learn it, how are you going to keep people accountable? And therefore, where are you in time? You have no idea. You're just taking somebody's word for it. But machining, it is an art. It is you can have 100 machinists and every single one is different. And how the time it takes to make anything or do anything is vastly different. And those that are efficient and talented, they make great money and the shops do well. And those that don't, the shops don't,
And sometimes it's not even more like I had a shop up in Lincoln, and this guy sent all of his work out. His whole time he was building parts, he'd sent him out to a local machine shop, and he just had to live with what they told him. And one day he's like, you know what? I'm just going to he bought a machine from me, just a little tool room mill, and a part that this guy was telling him was 40 minutes. He's like, I did it in 25 minutes. And my part looks so much better than his. Yep. And it only took about a year and a half. He had 6 machines on the floor, 0 work going out, all in-house. And sometimes, like you said, you have no accountability. Hey, Rick, this took me 50 minutes, and it's really 20 minutes. You have to have some knowledge around it.
And that was something else that I liked that you said, is that you were bringing all these other processes in-house, because how many other times have we had things like coatings or hardening, stuff goes wrong with parts you've already made, and now you can't sell them because some third party screwed them up for you. So
Yeah, one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
One thing we never got into was like the finishing and coating, because there's a little more liability in the OSHA, or not OSHA, but the
Environmental side of things.
Environmental guys.
Yeah, too many regs.
But you look at like powder coating. You put in a $2 million powder coat system, and they'll paint. We were having like a 2-foot square cube box. Paint it for like $2.
Yeah,
and it's a $40 box.
Hello.
Can you really do that?
No, not happening. That's crazy.
We worked with a couple of our actual customers who had the big powder coat lines who were doing for the big OEMs.
Yeah.
I like John Deere and stuff, so they certified and all that, so it worked great.
Heck
you
yeah.
get a little pull going back and forth,
Now, you said you didn't get into that in the beginning, but did you eventually work for John Deere at all? Do a little bit? I would imagine.
We do a lot of...
You're too big not to.
We do a lot of second tier.
Okay.
We have a vendor number and all that.
Yeah, okay.
We do a lot of second tier.
Yeah.
And it works well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I had a number of Boeing guys the same way. First tier Boeing, tough to get into, number one. Tough to keep up with all that they do. But second tier, third tier, you know what? I don't have to do the paperwork. I don't have to go through all these hoops. Here's your work. You deal with it. It's not bad sometimes.
We became ISO certified and all that, and I think that was really good for us. A lot of people, you think it's a pain, but it's not. Really.
Yeah.
It really helps you in the end, as long as you go about the right way and you don't paint yourself into a corner with it, which you can do.
You can, absolutely.
Yeah. I think people that struggle with, just the documentation and everything are people that have a shop that's in there's a big mess there.
Right.
Right. But as soon as you start dialing everything and you start documenting everything and getting all your processes in order, then it makes life easy.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's all anybody wants, is they want to be able to look at you and see that you have a license to drive. Right. And basically not have to go babysit you, that, hey, if these guys are all documented and they're ISO or AS 9100, then they're good to go. We don't have to worry about that. Let's just move on to make some incredible parts. So as all the employees grew, as your companies, you went to 3 different facilities, at what time did you start looking at automation and understanding, man, I need to really understand automation and make it work for us? So
we always tended to go toward automation, and really a big turn was in 2014 when I took an investment partner on. Okay. And then it knew I would give me more time, and it moved more of the people up that were managers.
Heck yeah.
Becoming more responsible and stuff, and I was still available, but I did focus more into the automation.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's when we really pushed into robotics. Prior to that, like I was telling him here before, that at the end of the year, when there's more money in the bank than at the beginning of the year, hey,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, we bought some machines. There's more money in the bank. Hey, we're going. We built a building. We're going. Yeah. But not even having a clue really what we were actually making or not.
Yeah.
We kind of did, but after the investment, then we absolutely knew, because they knew exactly where it was. But I think we were running around a 14% EBITDA. Like before 2014, I had never heard the word EBITDA before.
Right.
But now I'm focused on it all the time. But we were running around 14% then, and I think last year we were running just under 20%.
Very good.
So it's just a huge increase.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Did you have parts or the jobs that you did leading up to some of the stuff we see behind us in terms of just pick and place type automation? Did you have like automated horizontals? Did you add multi-pallet horizontals or vertical? No. Okay.
We had a pallet change and a vertical.
Sure.
I mean, we had a bunch of horizontals with the pallet changers on.
Yeah, just a 2-pallet. No system.
We had gotten into a robot system years ago. We had robot welders for probably 15, 20 years.
Gotcha.
But they're still tough to program. I mean, they're tough. There's nothing simple on that.
Right.
But going from that, we started with one robot loading the lathe, and actually it was on a muffler tip that ended up in Harley Davidson. And it was like, it set it up, and we ran. I think we started with a TT 1800, and it ran great. And then after 9 months, we were making it for a pipe manufacturer out in South Carolina.
Hello.
And they did something, and they lost the contract. So then that robot sat for like 6 years.
Oh,
and
my
we just
gosh.
kind of, you know, you couldn't move it. It was always in the way. We parked it where it was kind of out of the way and just ran that machine manually.
Holy smokes.
And it's just because it was so difficult. You know, you could pay someone to come in and set up the next part, but we just didn't have, you know,
that job.
thousands of
Yeah.
parts to run.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Sometimes that's what it is. You have to have the right work. That's,
well,
you know.
back then.
Yeah.
But now you don't. You
Yeah.
know, so like these robots, we change over 25, 50 pieces. We might change them over 5, 6 times a day.
Really?
In a cell. Yeah, but it, you know, so that robot, I finally said, hey guys, you know, we're going to use it. Let's
Yeah.
pick 2 jobs out and get it to work. And we did. And so that's all we run on that TT 1800 every month is just these 2 jobs.
So
That's awesome.
That's a
Yeah.
great kind of lead into what this is. Explain the difference then. If that robot, it was just a pick and place, and then you that was a production type environment though, and then this here today, no, like you said, you can go with a high mix.
Right, high mix. So this is a user interface that makes it really simple.
Yeah.
To program. It's almost like a CAM system, but it's basically 10 questions that ask you, 10, 12 questions, and half of them are redundant, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. You're gripping the OD or the ID. Well, 90% of the time you're gripping on the OD.
Yeah, yeah.
But compared to the other one is basically you had to start out and reprogram the whole thing.
Got
For the
it.
most part. It
Yeah.
was just, you know, it was crazy. The whole programming of robots versus the like machine tools, everyone's kind of does the same and they use the same G codes. Most of the M codes are the same.
Yep.
But in the robots, it's like everyone picked a different route to run down, and no one standardized,
And that-
they're still different.
And
but
that has to have a little bit to do with also the plates that you put into the system as well, right? Because then, like you said, to reprogram the whole robot, you're starting from scratch. When you have a plate that's got a stencil, if you will, in there, the robot knows exactly where to start and finish.
yeah, it calculates. So
Yep.
you know, it's a round part in the square, and
Yep.
you know how it shifts up, and it does the calculation. But that's all part of the software.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause,
it's the part software that's the trick.
Yeah.
I think we gotta slow down a little
Yeah.
bit, you know. So we're talking about this, the Halter, and this robot and the whole system. You basically can just move this machine.
Yeah.
As you were saying, I see the same thing. I go to all these different companies and I go to walk past the cell, and the robot's just sitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For whatever reason, either they don't know how to run it good, something happened to it, they lost a contract, but it's always sitting, and either it's attached to the machine or attached to the floor in front of the machine, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I fell in love with was like, you know, I always looked at robots. It was like you have to be able to move them from machine to machine to machine easily, and that's exactly what Halter did with this. Is like there's a pin in the floor, and basically it positions it, and you can take that robot right there in that whole, you know, cell and just put it on a different machine, put it on a 5-axis over there, then go put it on a lathe. And so when it came to Halter, so you were running robots, and
We were
then,
running one robot.
Okay.
And then
And
we got
then-
into the halters. Yeah.
how did you learn about Halter and like I heard from Bowder,
Yep.
Valder.
right? that you were like just asking him all kinds of questions and all this.
So it was a 2014 machine tool show in Chicago.
There you
We
go.
always take a busload of guys in, whoever will go.
Yeah.
We don't pay them for the day because we feel they have to have the interest in it. Because if we paid them for the day, you know, we'd have to have 2 or 3 buses.
Yeah,
all
I
right,
know that.
all right,
We want some
Barry, you're not getting paid next time.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
It's
just
on
kidding.
your own volition.
I'm just kidding.
But you know, we wanted them to have interest in it, and you know, and we always had a good time, and we had coolers of beer and all that on the way
Yeah.
home, and went out
Very
to supper, and it was a good time. So we went in 2014. I always went in a couple days early and kind of scouted the show and found interesting stuff, and I pointed out to them so they'd get in little groups, and we'd have a little powwow before they all took off. You know, mainly what time you're going to be back.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'd say, you know, this is what I've seen. Check this out, check that out. But you know, and I ended it with your focus today is look for stuff to make your job better, make your job easier.
Good on you.
Try and look at automation wherever you can. So we did that, went out, and that was my job too. I was focused on that, but there just wasn't in 2014. The robots were still extremely hard to program.
Exactly.
Nothing simple.
Yeah.
And I was pretty disgusted with the day. You know, we're back in the bus, and and the coolers are popping, and and the beer is going, and I'm on my computer because we're stuck in Chicago traffic.
Of
On the
course.
south side of Chicago at 4:30 in the afternoon on a Friday. It's horrible.
Yeah.
So and then I was online. I found Halter online, the Halter system. So that was in September. I went out and visited him in October. And then we ordered the first 4 units and brought them in January.
Beautiful.
I think they
beautiful.
arrived in January.
So they weren't at IMTS.
No,
You just had to
no.
find them afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be something better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's got to be something better than what.
Wait. So IMTS didn't have it, and then you went online to actually find it.
That's
Right.
crazy.
Kinda like-
That's kind of like something we do.
Yeah.
That's good.
They have it now because we've been there
That's
since
right.
2016. Yeah.
Well, it's funny too because I was programming robots from like 2005 to 2013, and what you said about them being difficult is so true. And I probably wrote thousands of them, and if we would have moved the machine a quarter of an inch, then every
it's off.
single one of those programs would be trash.
Right.
Crazy.
Every one.
A quarter inch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had this amazing company. You sold this company. You probably don't have to work if
No.
you don't want to.
No.
But you're working with these guys.
Yeah.
Like what?
You know,
Like what? Like what's up?
I do. I just love American manufacturing. I think
That's
I
awesome,
can.
man.
I'm on 2 or 3 different boards. I'm on a
Nice.
board of a company that is really struggling. They're big. They're 300 employees, and they're struggling because they got into this deal of only having a few customers. They're mill lathe. That's it. And they're just in trouble.
So you got to give them the Rick Hoffman playbook.
Well, I'm trying.
Yeah.
but it works.
Yeah.
I,
Shit, yeah.
I've visited multiple customers,
Yep.
and I like it with Halter because I go out and visit companies and give them my ideas. And, I just did this down in Florida, sat and talked to a guy for 2.5 hours.
Heck
Didn't
yeah.
hardly talk about the Halter. We talked about business, and they're
Yeah.
just a new company starting out. So, and I've done that multiple times.
That's
multiple
awesome, man.
times, yeah.
What do
I'm
you-
going to-
What do you think is the one glaring thing when you go into a shop, and this guy maybe saw you like what you did, looked at Halter online, and you're going in there? What's the one thing that you just notice? Oh my God, okay, you need this.
I think that because of how robots started out, like you said, in 2005, 2008, they're extremely difficult.
Yep.
And you had a lot of them sitting in corners.
Yep.
And like you said, they either lost this, lost that, or they lost the guy who was programming it.
Yep.
And
Very much so.
everything's
Exactly.
gone.
Yeah.
But I think they have that fear that it's not it's that same way.
It's still that way.
Because
Yeah.
I'll go in and tell them, you can literally program this in 5 minutes and you're up and going. And I know they're like, you're
sucker.
full of
You're-
shit.
Yeah.
You're lying to me,
That's
and
right.
so that's the biggest hurdle I have. But because even like these guys, we were just down yesterday in Houston, and this guy, we got a job that's got 1,000 parts. We'd be able to put. I go, you got a job with 20 parts you can put.
You're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't 1,000. Forget the 1,000.
Wow.
But-
That's the difference then,
Yeah.
because that's the mindset I think a lot of people have. I think I even said it to you, and I've been around robots for the last good 15
Right.
years, and it is something that I think that the stigma I have in my mind is you got to have a lot.
Gotta
of
have a
parts.
volume.
Yeah,
And
gotta
you
have a
don't
volume.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
25, 50 pieces. is
Just
fine.
because the changeover's so simple. Yeah,
quick and easy to change over.
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm excited because 2024 is stacking up big for us,
It
and
is stacking up. Big.
yeah. First, we've always had the horizontals and a few pallets and stuff, and then we went in, we brought the round pallet pull over on the Heller,
the VPP,
and then we just got the
yeah.
linear pallet system over here on the DN.
Yep.
And then, of course, with bar feeders and different things,
Oh, yeah.
we've always been, working on the automation and stuff. But now we just got 3 of the halters in, and throughout our videos and different things, we're going to not only teach how to actually, program jobs for automation, but we're going to just teach how to simply
Right.
program them and then just change them out. And I would always tell people, what sucks is a lot of machinists and people are just scared of robots.
Yeah.
They just don't understand them, And I always tell people, man, you want to bring work back to this country. You want to do great things. Like, it has to be wrapped around automation.
Yep.
They have automation in China and other countries making these parts. Their cell phones are now automated. Even the assembly is automated. It's like, why can't you just bring them back over here
Truly.
and automate over here?
Yep.
You know? But it's like a lot of people, they just need to see it first. They need to see it. Like, they're looking at it and they're thinking about the control and all the things they have to do and how long it takes. And then, wait, he said 5 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
they
I
don't
think
that.
we need to put a stopwatch and actually have some real programming
Changeovers.
sessions, just so we can like show how quick it is.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of companies out there that are like scared, but it's like, look, you know, you might not have 100 employees for 100 companies, but you'll have 30 employees for 10,000. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
It's true.
so way more companies, less employees, but they're well paid because the company is efficient and putting out a ton of product, and it's automated, and it's like, this is the way it should be. And then your customers know that, hey, these guys are a job shop, you know, or a production facility, but they're automated. They're doing all the right things. So we're going to stick with them, because as their prices get even better because of the automation,
Right.
like, hey, they're a great partner for us. You know?
Yeah. You're definitely way more competitive being automated.
Yeah, because I think that's one of your biggest keys too, is the ROI on these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what is it penciled generally if you've got let's say a 2-shift shop?
So 2 shifts shop, we figure about a year.
A year.
Return on investment. If it's
Come on.
three shifts, it's 6 months or so.
Yeah.
You know, if you're 1 shift, it's about a year and a half.
And then
Love
that's great to say, because, okay, let's even take a single shift shop, right? And a year and a half, this thing's paid for itself. So in a year and a half, you got an employee that's sitting in front of that machine, and now he could go do something better. I know that you guys have always said the robot will make the machinist or the guy that's in front of that machine even better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's doing the redundant work. You know, when I was in high school, I was loading the machine.
Yeah.
You know, it was
Yeah.
manual, but I was still loading it.
Exactly.
It hasn't changed since. You know,
Yeah.
it's still, you're loading that chuck or you're loading this vise.
Exactly.
And it's the same.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest benefits I saw with them, is a lot of the parts that we were doing were heavy. And as a machinist, a lot of the things that ruin our bodies is the repetitive motion, the standing in one spot on a concrete floor the whole day. So if you're able to move around and do other things that are valuable to the company, you know, the robot really pays for itself.
Good call. That's a great call.
Well, you know, it's hard enough to get employees now.
Yep.
I mean, it really is. And if you think they're going to stand there and plug a part in a machine every 50 seconds,
Nope.
every day, day in, day out for 2-3 years,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
It's like a
gonna drive them
derogatory
nuts.
term now,
Oh, yeah.
operator.
Yeah.
And operators don't get paid either.
Right.
You know?
It's
Right.
true. It's
Right.
true.
You know, one thing that I'll mention, and this is awesome, because now to fund free education, everybody that actually watches us and have watched us over the last decade knows that everything we put out is 100% free. All teachers, all students, 200,000 students on our academy, all of it is 100% free. And because we want to take it to a whole nother level, we have to keep rising on levels. So not only now are we selling end mills to help fund free education and different types of tools, but now we're going into the CNC machine tool sales, and we're selling
Partnering with
robots,
Halter.
man.
Yep,
We're
absolutely.
selling robots and stuff. So you can actually, right now, we're about to have a crazy website that's going to go up here just in a few days, but they can actually contact you, Keith at titansofcnc.com.
Keith at Titans of CNC.
Ask questions and stuff. But it's not only the robot and the cell, but I love that you can actually take all these machines, older machines that are not equipped with an auto door, and you guys created your own auto door that's only takes a couple hours to actually install. Probably takes you an hour, but maybe
takes
3
us a
hours,
couple.
4
Yeah,
hours.
someone else
you
might
know.
be 4 hours.
Yeah, but it basically just sits across the top, wires into the control, basically opens the door. Even if you don't have a robot, it's just nice, you know? And you can like just every day, right when the job finishes, you can just have that door open.
Bingo.
Love it. Yep.
We
super
have
good.
one customer who really doesn't. He hasn't gotten into the robots yet, but they have.
Loves the auto door.
He loves the auto door. He's bought
That's
30 or 40 of them, and he says their production went up 10%, 10 to 15%. And the main thing is the visual.
Yes.
Because when
Doors
the
open,
employee-
job's not running.
Yeah. That spindle's not running when that door's open.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a visual to the employee as well as the supervisors. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a little nudge both ways. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Hey,
I love that. Like,
Yeah.
I like chip fans and I like the mist collectors, and you just have this like, or the fan, boom, getting the chips out, and then all of a sudden the door opens, and then everybody's like, boom.
And
let's
you're
change
right.
clothes.
Those auto doors, I used to sell them back in the day, and it would be literally 1 out of 50 customers would buy an auto door. But the guy that bought it, he would say the same thing similar to what Barry was saying about the lifting. That guy's not yanking the
Right.
door open 100 times a day and back and forth. And right when the cycle's done, doors open. And that thing, you guys did an amazing job. I know that Halter put that together, and it is clean. It looks like OEM. I mean, it does not look like it's some funky add-on. That thing is very nicely done.
But yeah, so we're selling the doors now.
Yep,
And
on our store.
exactly. And
The
then,
doors are on the store.
But then it comes to vices. I mean, chucks are pretty easy because a lot of them are already automated and stuff. But then when it comes to, the vices and stuff, so we're going to actually go through all of it and
Yes.
just keep like, hey, you can start with this and then add this and add this. But that's a lot of the knowledge that
Right.
people don't have that they need is like, okay, that sounds good, but to change from part to part to part, how many, different grippers do I need? How many different, like, how much does all of this cost? And I'm even like excited to just kind of journey down that path. And I think it's like end mills and stuff. You create standards for types of
Right.
parts and stuff. So you got anything you can say towards that? I mean, there's a little learning curve right there.
Yeah, it's a standard gripper set. Basically, it's almost like a standard lathe chuck set.
Yeah.
But a standard gripper set will basically run almost every part. Until you get into like a casting or something like that, and then we make specials for that.
That's just got a
Nice.
funky
But literally,
design.
a standard gripper set will go from 1 inch up to 10 inches.
Hello.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
then I think that's a great opportunity for us also to start showing the advancements in 3D printing.
Yeah.
On
Right.
printing your own grippers
You got
and,
that
and
right.
special shapes to grab unique parts and stuff,
Yeah.
Super good.
Absolutely.
Designing robot grippers was actually what got me started in SolidWorks.
Is that right?
I'd never designed anything, but I had to design so many grippers for the different size sheet metal parts we were doing that got me into SolidWorks.
Heck yeah, damn it. That's great stuff.
I was used to SolidWorks, but I never knew how to do it. I was pretty good 2D programming, but I took the free course from Titan.
Oh,
nice.
man.
Well, it was
Good
like
on
2 to
you.
3 years ago,
Yeah.
and it was great.
That
it
is
was. I
fantastic.
just, I'm waiting for it to ask me for my credit card somewhere along the point.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I'm wondering, did it get my credit card?
Yeah,
Somehow,
man.
it's still free.
That's good
But
stuff.
yeah, it was good. It was really good. And I wouldn't say I'm great at it, but I know how to do it.
Heck yeah.
And I don't do it enough.
I love it. I see these guys and owners on like LinkedIn, and they'll be like, hey, you need to go to Titans of CNC and go do these classes. And somebody will be like, oh, I 100% agree. And I keep waiting for the paywall,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
never comes and stuff. And that's why like people ask me like, oh, you guys are selling stuff. Absolutely, man. We're here trying to like build funding to solve the problems that nobody's ever solved. And that's with education. That's with awareness. And it is an expensive problem to solve. But just excited that, we just keep having better partners and
Yes.
Yeah.
super excited
good.
to get the robots in. And so I don't want to just have like all roses and rainbows
Sure.
and stuff, What is like some of the pitfalls that people could fall into that they should have their minds on stepping into an automation system?
One of the things that we see, you go in and this guy, you'll look at some of his stuff and 95% of the stuff he's running should be on a robot.
Wow.
25 pieces, 50 pieces. And then all, typically then all of a sudden it's like, well, I got this one part in the back room we run once a year, and they bring out, like this octopus thing.
Yeah.
Some funky.
No. See, it could it be done? Yeah, but it's going to
That's
be
not
so
what you're-
expensive.
The
Grab
amount
the
of
low,
setup, the amount of everything.
get the low hanging fruit and run with it. And then as you get into it more and more, this is not for everything. If you run
Sure.
50 million parts, it's really not for that. You can do it, But at that point, now it's more into the integration and
Yeah.
they're really complex.
It doesn't
cells.
might not have the speed. Is
Right.
that- yeah.
Right. But we've run, I think we were in 2 million parts through 2 Doosan machines on 2 of these.
Wow.
50-second cycle over about a 2-year period of time. And
24/7.
24/7. And that's where, we would have killed 6 operators
Yeah.
on that time if they were
Exactly.
chucking them in.
If
and
they
out
made
of
it that long, they'd have been like, after 6 weeks, I'm out. I'm done tapping out.
Absolutely, yeah. But, you can do that.
But think about that. You're right, because we normally think of heavy production as, horizontals with pallets, fixture plates on a vertical that we could just load up and lock in there and do hundreds at a time. So take away the speed of that in a heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And then, so I said like setbacks, but anything else as far as like getting the robots, like any other advice on just what people should think about?
For me, it was all, I think when you go into it, as you grow on your own, you can always try to get this high volume stuff, but that's the most competitive
You
type
got that
stuff.
right.
It's if you can automate the lower medium volume
Yep.
and be competitive and make your employees happier so they're not plugging parts in and out of a machine all day.
Yeah,
we got that
that's a great
Swiss
call.
multi-spindle with like 8 bars coming through and
Oh,
it's dropping
yeah.
parts in 11 seconds. Like
Yeah.
that's
You don't
hard
want
to-
anybody standing in front of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some different I've seen different machines where you just had like spindles and robots on the top and it was
Everything
fast.
going,
It
yeah.
was fast, but there's just different styles.
I remember a
Different
guy
types
up in
of
a
parts.
shop, Northern California. He's like, got this big production job. It was like 2,000 pieces, and they don't get that. This job shop was more of a 5 of this, 10 of that, 20 of these. And he goes, "Oh, it feels good though. I could just set this up and let it go." He goes, "But that's it. 2 weeks of this, and I'm done. I want to get back to my." You can only last so long. It's too redundant and boring.
Right. People want a little change.
Yes.
Certain guys don't. They like the same thing over and over. And,
Yeah.
But for the most part, people want to change.
I want to ask one question real quick. Go back to the grippers. There was a company we met. I met the gentleman at IMCO in Germany when we were there with Walter and Spela. Finbo. The grippers, quick change grippers. Do you know?
Oh yeah. I'm trying to think what it is.
There was a company, Finbo. They made these quick change grippers, and they were
like fingers?
Yeah,
or?
they were fingers. And Walter had told me about them. Keith makes even it more simple when you're changing over. But is that maybe
they have one that has like a spring-loaded deal?
Yes.
You can press both sides in and
That's the one.
adjust without having to do a bolt.
Yeah. Really cool setup. Yeah, engineered well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is nice.
I just think automation and robots in general, we're gonna see crazy advances in the next couple years. Just a couple years. I mean, Elon Musk, that robot that they have is just insane. And what are they talking? They're talking like, I think I heard something like a $30,000 price tag or something. Like they're gonna get the price. Crazy. What's it called? Optimus or something?
Autonomous.
No.
The company.
I don't know.
I don't know if
Can we
30,000
get
get that
Elon
one out.
Musk's robot?
Scrap that real quick. I thought autonomous.
It's like Optimus or something.
Optimus.
It's
Optimus.
Optimus. Yeah, so I was right. Optimus.
Optimus.
I don't know if I'm saying it right.
It's like
Octopus.
Optimus Prime.
Optimus. Octopus.
But it basically, I love it because when you look at what is it, Boston Dynamics,
Boston
It's a dog,
Scientific.
yeah.
Scientific,
Yep.
and
Boston Scientific.
that thing's scary.
Scary.
Like it's like walking and like you're in fear. It's like iRobot or something, or what is that old robot movie?
Yeah, or like what about that new one, the Creator?
The
Yeah,
Creator.
yeah.
I've seen all
Oh
these
yeah,
robots walking
crazy.
around.
Careful for that
Yeah.
one.
But
Things
but
real.
Elon, I mean, he actually like the head is just sleek and the arms and the fingers, and that thing can pick up an egg now.
Yeah,
and
very
they're saying
delicate.
that
Yeah.
within however many months it's going to be able to thread a needle, which is
Wow.
crazy, And I know
Optimus.
that he has a new car that's they're planning on coming out. It's like $25,000, but then to get it that cheap, the automation in the manufacturing plant is so incredible that he's actually putting a bunch of these robots in with his regular automation.
Really? Nice.
Yeah,
Incredible.
crazy.
Yeah,
So,
think about that. That's on the horizon. Think about 5-10 years
Yeah.
from now. Where we're gonna be.
but he's already making like every 2 months he's coming out
Right.
with these advances that are
Right.
just incredible. Like
Right.
the egg thing, like think about that. Like to be able to sense and hold something round with your fingers.
That's
and,
fragile.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Super
wow.
crazy. So super excited. So now you get into, a system like this, and then you just keep your eyes open and you just keep solving the customer's problems and being efficient so you can like give them a great price and make good money and take care of your people, and
That's what we do.
then you just get
That's what
older
it
and
is.
get all these employees, and then you just sell
Cash
your
out.
company and then you just go work, cash out,
Sail
and
away.
That's
yeah.
right.
sail away and just
Grab the
work in it
fishing
because
pole.
you love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we brought up
Super good,
movies
man.
for 1 second though with the creator, and what's the first thing you think of when you think of Iowa? It's Field of Dreams.
Oh, yeah,
right.
Field
Is
of
that
Dreams.
you near there? Is that
Oh yeah, I lived in Dyersville for 20 years.
very
Yeah.
good?
And now
Very-
he's living the dream.
Oh man,
If you build it, they will come.
I seen robots in my sleep.
so
Very
good,
good.
so
Very good.
So what's the future, man? Work for a couple more years?
Yeah,
or-
I'm gonna stay active no matter
That's
what.
cool.
Good
I
on
love
ya.
manufacturing.
Love it.
Like I said, I've went out, visited companies. Talked to a guy in Minnesota. He said, "Hey, I got this company I just bought in Colorado. Would you go look at it?" And I said,
Nice.
Yeah. I said, I happen to be going out there anyway. I'll swing by. So it was good.
Yeah,
I really
that's-
like it.
Aren't the people in this industry the best?
Yeah,
They're the
I
best.
do.
Yeah.
It's just like employees. They're the best, but they're also the worst. So to speak. The few, they ruin it. But for overall, that's the best part of it.
It is.
It is.
People are
Yeah,
awesome.
it's a family, man.
It
You
is.
become a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Super
doubt.
good. When we were in California, I knew my wife wanted to leave, and I'd always tell her, like, "Oh, when I retire," and she was so depressed because she's like, "This guy's never gonna retire," And then one day I walked down, I said, "Okay, let's go,
Yeah.
Let's hit
All
it.
right.
let's go, let's hit it." But hey, Rick, thank you, man.
You bet.
Thank you for
Yes.
the help. Thank
Appreciate
you for
you
bringing
guys.
your team over
Yeah.
here, and yeah, we were doing some good training today, and
Heck yeah.
Tyson, Travis, and all of us, man, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Super good.
No,
I
very
appreciate
good.
the
Thanks for coming
opportunity.
down.
Yeah, no,
Heck yeah.
super good. And
Great.
if anybody's like interested in actually learning more about Halter, hey, right now just hit up Keith. Keith at titansofcnc.com.
Anytime.
And then in just like another week, we're gonna actually have a website come out, and then probably right in the beginning of the year, we'll have like a whole thing on Halter and stuff.
Yep.
And then you can actually purchase from us and help us fund free education.
Yep.
Boom.
Absolute. Hit it.
Yeah.
We're out.
All
Thank
right.
you, Rick. Thank you, Barry, as
yeah.
always, man.
Same.
Look at that. You didn't even like crash anything, man.
I know. That's probably why you keep
Pretty
putting me on these podcasts to protect the machines.
Yeah, baby.